So none of us are immune to the feeling of elation when we've succeeded. At the same time, none of us are immune to the fear of failure, right? We're not in your headspace yet. You know, if a business fails, I mean, unless you're Yoda, you probably feel really bad about it. Do you want that feeling? Are you referring to that feeling when that feeling gets so bad? Is that where I have to go in order to be able to get to that level of mind share where I don't give a damn about the outcome anymore? And with that, I am on a path that to that legendary status that you're talking about?
You know, no one ever looks at where they are because they're so busy looking at where they should be. So no one ever looks to see what are the consequences of the way that I view things. What are the consequences that not that I will experience, but that I've already experienced? I mean, everyone's just looking at the results of whether the outcome of the game or the business turned out. Well, what about the results of the way in which you've been looking at the game? What about those? What about the consequences, not of the game, but what about the consequences of the way that you've been looking at it? So you talk about, well, if the business fails and the person feels sad. Well, that isn't the first time that they've felt dejected. They've been feeling dejected the entire time. It wasn't just when it failed. When it failed, they felt the dejection of failure. But all along, they've been feeling the dejection of fear. So why is it that no one's looking at that? Why is no one looking at the fact that, why is everyone looking at the dramatic climax? Why are they not looking and saying, but for the last 20 years, I've lived in fear and anxiety. So that's already happened. That isn't something that's going to happen. That's where the person has been living. So why not look at that outcome and say, well, why is it that I've been living in fear and anxiety for all these years? And then ask that question. And then that will take a person to the place where he sees, well, I've been living in fear and anxiety because the way in which I've been looking at the game is completely detrimental to how I feel. It's not sustainable. That is the road of truth. Not the hysteria over how can a person lose his company and still not be dejected. Forget that question. Look at where the person already is. Now, your question would be valid if you said, for the last 20 years I've been building a company and I've been joyful and peaceful the entire time. And then when the company failed, then I became dejected, and that was the first time, only when it failed. I would say fine. Now, that's a valid question, but that isn't happening. Everyone's distraught from beginning to end. So why not examine the level of distraughtness that the person's been swimming in for years? No one's looking at that.
I totally agree with you.